Elon Musk is worth about $400 billion. That number sounds insane. It takes your breath away. Now forget it. Because there was a man on this earth who made Elon Musk look like he was broke. Not twice as rich. Not 10 times as rich. So wealthy that modern economists literally gave up trying to calculate his fortune. They just wrote the words incomprehensible, incalculable, beyond any number we have. His name was Mansa Musa. He died 700 years ago, and he was so rich that a single shopping trip crashed an entire country's economy for 12 years. This is his story. The year is 1280. West Africa. A boy is born into a royal family of the Mali Empire. His name is Musa. Nobody calls him king yet. Nobody suspects that this child will one day control nearly half of all the gold on earth. But this empire he is born into is already one of the most powerful forces in the known world. The Mali Empire stretches from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Niger River. It controls the trade routes that connect Africa to Europe and the Middle East. Every merchant who wants gold, every king who wants salt, every empire that needs resources, they all have to go through Mali. And Mali controls the price. In 1312, something strange happens. The emperor before Musa, a man named Abubakar II, becomes obsessed with a question. Is there land beyond the Atlantic Ocean? He builds 2,000 ships. He loads them with men, food, and supplies. He sails west into the open ocean, and he never comes back. Not a single ship returns. To this day, nobody knows what happened to him. And just like that, Musa becomes Mansa Musa. Mansa means king, and Musa is now the 9th king of the Mali Empire. He inherits a kingdom already drowning in gold. But what he does next turns a rich empire into something the world had never seen before. Under Mansa Musa, the Mali Empire becomes the single largest producer of gold in the entire world. Not a large producer, the largest, by an almost impossible margin. Historians at the British Museum confirm that during his reign, Mali controlled nearly half of all the gold in circulation in the entire Old World. Half of all the gold on Earth. And that is just the gold. He also controls the salt trade. In the medieval world, salt was not a seasoning. Salt was survival. Armies needed it. Cities needed it. Kingdoms needed it. And Mansa Musa controlled the largest salt deposits on Earth at Tagaza. If you wanted salt, you paid Mansa Musa. If you wanted gold, you paid Mansa Musa. If you wanted to move goods across the Sahara, you paid Mansa Musa. Every toll, every tax, every trade route, all of it flowed into one man. His adjusted net worth today is estimated by historians at over $400 billion. But here is the thing that makes economists go quiet when they say this number. That estimate is probably wrong. Not because it is too high, because it is too low. Time magazine put it simply, there is really no way to put an accurate number on his wealth. The problem is that Mansa Musa was not just a billionaire. He was a sovereign. He did not just own wealth. He owned the land that produced the wealth. He owned the mines. He owned the trade routes. He owned the armies that protected them. He owned entire cities. Comparing him to Elon Musk is like comparing a man who owns a lemonade stand to a man who owns every lemon tree on Earth. But none of this prepares you for what happens in 1324. Mansa Musa decides to make his hajj, his pilgrimage to Mecca. Every Muslim is called to make this journey at least once in their life. But Mansa Musa does not travel like a man. He travels like a force of nature. His caravan includes 60,000 people. 60,000. Soldiers, entertainers, scholars, his entire royal court. 12,000 enslaved servants. Each one dressed in Persian silk. Each one carrying a staff of pure gold. And then the camels. 100 camels. Each one carrying between 300 and 400 pounds of gold. When you do the math, that is somewhere between 15 and 18 tons of gold, moving across the desert, in a single caravan, just for one man's road trip to Mecca. Every city he passes through, he gives away gold. Not a little gold. Obscene amounts of gold. He gives it to the poor on the streets. He gives it to mosque builders. He gives it to scholars. He trades it for local souvenirs as if gold means nothing to him. Because to him, it basically doesn't. He builds a new mosque every single Friday of the journey, just because he can. By the time he reaches Cairo, the most powerful trading city in the known world, word has already spread. The king from Mali is coming, and he has more gold than God. What happens next is one of the most extraordinary economic disasters in human history. Mansa Musa and his 60,000-person entourage arrive at the outskirts of Cairo in July of 1324. They camp for 3 days near the pyramids of Giza. Just camp there casually next to the pyramids. Then they enter the city, and Mansa Musa starts giving away gold, and trading gold, and spending gold, on everything, for weeks. The amount of gold he introduces into the Egyptian economy is so massive, so sudden, that it completely destroys the value of gold in Egypt. Before his arrival, one mythcal of gold was worth 25 silver coins. After Mansa Musa leaves, it drops below 22 silver coins, and it does not recover for 12 years. He did not invade Egypt. He did not go to war with Egypt. He just went shopping, and accidentally wrecked their economy for over a decade. When Mansa Musa finally arrives in Mecca, the Islamic world is stunned. He is not just a king making a religious journey. He is a walking demonstration of a power that Europe and the Middle East had completely underestimated. After his journey, word spreads to the royal courts of Europe. Kings want to meet him. Diplomats are sent. Spain, Portugal, France, all scrambling to establish trade relationships with this empire they had barely heard of. In 1375, a Spanish cartographer creates the famous Catalan Atlas, one of the greatest maps of the medieval world. And right there in the center of West Africa sits Mansa Musa, drawn larger than any other figure on the map, holding a gold nugget so large it glows. The mapmaker writes next to him, "This Mali king is the richest and most noble king in all the land." The whole of Europe now knows his name. Back in Mali, Mansa Musa spends his fortune in ways no king before him ever considered. He does not just hoard gold. He builds. He commissions the famous architect Abu Ishaq al-Sahili to redesign his capital city Timbuktu. And Timbuktu transforms from a desert trading post into one of the most advanced cities in the medieval world. He builds the Jingareber Mosque, still standing today. He builds the Sankore University, which at its peak holds 25,000 students, making it one of the largest universities in the world at that time. He builds libraries. He builds madrasas. He brings scholars, poets, mathematicians, and architects from across the Islamic world to live and work in his empire. Timbuktu becomes the intellectual capital of the medieval world. While Europe is still in the Dark Ages, Timbuktu has libraries with hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, doctors performing advanced medicine, astronomers mapping the stars, all funded by one man's almost unlimited gold. Mansa Musa dies in 1337. The exact date is disputed. Some say 1332. Some say 1337. He passes the empire to his sons, but his sons cannot hold it together. The empire that took centuries to build begins to fracture within decades of his death. Raiders attack from the north. Internal power struggles tear the royal family apart. By the 1400s, the Mali Empire is a shadow of what it was. And by the 1600s, it is largely forgotten. The gold mines run dry. The trade routes shift. Timbuktu is sacked, and its libraries are burned. And the man who was so wealthy that economists still cannot calculate his fortune fades from the history books of the Western world. For 600 years, almost nobody outside of West Africa knew his name. But here is the part that stays with you. Mansa Musa was not born into the richest family in the world. He became king by accident, because another king sailed into the ocean and disappeared. He did not build a tech company. He did not have venture capital. He did not have the internet or the stock market. He had gold, salt, land, and the vision to turn natural resources into something no one had ever seen before. By every measure historians can apply, he remains the wealthiest human being who has ever lived. Not Rockefeller, not Carnegie, not Bezos, not Musk, Mansa Musa. And 700 years after his death, the world is still trying to count his money. If history has a way of burying the people who should never be forgotten, then the Obsidian Vault is where we dig them back up. Subscribe, because the most extraordinary stories are always the ones they forgot to teach you.